Very good morning, cadets. In the last class, we studied about the non-cooperation movement and the introduction to the chapter that is nationalism in India. As we studied that Gandhiji practiced law in South Africa, and as a request by his political guru Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Gandhiji returned to India in the year 1915. After Gandhiji returned to India in 1915, he involved in various anti-British movements such as Champaran movement, Kheda Satyagraha, or Ahmedabad mill workers movement. So we all studied about that in the last class. Now we are into the topic of Khilafat movement, Rowlatt Act and First World War. You may be studying in your junior classes related to Rowlatt Act. Rowlatt Act was an act passed by the British government to control the freedom movement in India. Emboldened with the success, Gandhiji in 1919 decided to launch a nationwide satyagraha against the proposed Rowlatt Act. So the Rowlatt Act of 1919, what is this Rowlatt Act? According to the Rowlatt Act, the British government empowered the police to arrest any Indian under the pretext of anti-British and keep them in prison for 2 years without trial. That means without producing them to the court, the British can keep them in jail for 2 years. This act is nothing but a law hurriedly passed through an imperial legislative council. Imperial means the British Imperial Legislative Council, despite the united opposition by the Indian members. The Indian members in the Imperial Legislative Council opposed the act because this act gave enormous power to repress, to control political activists and allowed them arrest of political prisoners without trial for 2 years. So please understand what is Rowlatt Act. According to the Rowlatt Act, the British police are empowered with the enormous power to arrest any political activist, means a person who is fighting against the British government, a political activist, under the pretext of political prisoner, means he will be declared as political prisoner and keep them in jail without trial. Trial is nothing but inquiry, what happens, proceedings in the court. So proceedings in the court is called a trial, where the accused, arrested, is allowed to defend his stand. That is what we speak trial. Today let us see, in India, if a person is arrested, he should be produced before the court within 24 hours of arrest. That is what today the IPC, Indian Penal Code, speaks. But according to the Rowlatt Act, a person can be kept without trial as a political prisoner for 2 years. So cadets, now I hope you understood why the Rowlatt Act was considered as very oppressive act. Mahatma Gandhi wanted non-violent civil disobedient movements against the unjust law. So what Mahatma Gandhi wanted to launch? He wanted to launch non-violent civil disobedience. Why civil disobedience to the law? That's why it is called civil disobedience. So he wanted to launch a civil disobedience against unjust law. What is the unjust law? That is Rowlatt Act. So he wanted to start a civil disobedience against the Rowlatt Act, and with what is the first thing which he started is Hartal. So Hartal on 6th April 1919. Please remember and write down the date. Hartal. Hartal is nothing but peaceful protest, not shouting slogans, not having dharna, but sitting silently and protesting against unjust. That is called Hartal. So Mahatma Gandhi started Hartal on 6th April 1919 against the unjust act. What is the act? That is Rowlatt Act. Rallies were organized in various cities. Workers went on strike. Railway workshops and shops were closed down. Alarmed by the popular upsurge and scared that lines of communication such as railway and telegraphs were disrupted. So all these things were disrupted. So British administration decided to calm down. The local leaders picked up from Amritsar. Mahatma Gandhi was barred from entering Delhi. On 10th April, police in Amritsar fired upon a peaceful procession. Please remember the date. On 6th April, Hartal, and 10th April, the police fired on peaceful procession at Amritsar, provoking a widespread attack on banks and post office, railways. Resulted in what happened, martial law was imposed. What is martial law? Martial law is nothing but today what we speak is curfew. That is called martial law. Shoot at sight. So martial law was imposed on which day? After the 10th April, the martial law was imposed by whom? General Dyer. So General Dyer, very infamous name in the history of India, because General Dyer was responsible for massacre of innocent Indians. So General Dyer took the command of which city? General Dyer took the command of Amritsar city. On 13th April, the infamous Jallianwala Bagh incident took place. So Jallianwala Bagh incident took place on 13th April 1919. What do you have to remember? On 6th April there was a peaceful Hartal, and on demonstration on 10th April police fired. As a result, it turned into violent protest. As a result, martial law was declared. Declaring of martial law by General Dyer, he took the command of Amritsar city. On 13th April, the infamous Jallianwala Bagh incident took place. On that day, a crowd of villagers who had come to Amritsar to attend a fair gathered enclosed around Jallianwala Bagh. So please understand, what if you today visited Jallianwala Bagh, it's just a memorial. Don't think that is the same. Those days it was a park. So 13th April is a Baisakhi day. Baisakhi is nothing but New Year day in Punjab. So large number of villagers who gathered in Amritsar. Why they gathered? They gathered to attend a village festival. And these people, they were unaware of the martial law, because those days TV, news channel, WhatsApp, Twitter was not there. So they were unaware of martial law which was imposed in the city of Amritsar. Being from the outside city, they were unaware of the martial law because they were outside from the city. So being 13th April as a New Year day, so all they wished to attend the New Year. So General Dyer entered the area of Jallianwala Bagh, blocked the exit point and opened fire, crowd killing hundreds. His object, as he declared was to produce a moral effect. Why General Dyer behaved like this? Because General Dyer wanted to create a terror in the minds of Indians so that they won't mess with the British officers, and this to create in the minds of Satyagrahi a feeling of terror and fear. So the very intention of General Dyer was to create a terror in the minds of Indians so that they won't rebel against the British. But this is a cruel act by General Dyer in the history of India, because that's why it is called massacre. Large scale killing of innocent people who were nowhere related to any kind of violence or any kind of national or freedom movement. They were poor villagers who came just to attend the fair. That's why General Dyer's incident was condemned wildly, worldwide condemned. Gandhiji and many others who condemned the incident because it is considered as massacre. So remember the date: 6th April, 10th April and 13th April, the day of Jallianwala Bagh. As the news of Jallianwala Bagh spread, the crowd on the streets in many of the North Indian towns, they were strikes, there were strikes, clashes and police attack on government buildings. The government responded in a brutal repression, seeking to humiliate and terrorize the people. So the main intention of British were to humiliate, insult as well as to terrorize, to create a fear. Satyagrahis were forced to rub their nose on the ground, crawl on the street and do salam to the sahibs. People were flogged and villages were bombed. Seeing the violence, Gandhiji called off this movement. So Gandhiji called off his movement of Rowlatt Act, because the Rowlatt Act turned into a violence, because there was a violent clash between the British officers and Satyagrahis. So Gandhiji immediately withdrawn his movement against the Rowlatt Act. So Rowlatt Act very, very important in the history of British India, because Rowlatt Acts resulted in the infamous massacre of Jallianwala Bagh. So Jallianwala Bagh, the infamous massacre by General Dyer. General Dyer responsible for the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. You see General Dyer's crawling orders being administered by the British officers, soldiers in Punjab in 1990. You can see this person, how he is crawling down. Okay, this. So General Dyer, very, very cruel officer who started punishing Indians in a brutal way. When Rowlatt Satyagraha had been widespread movement, it was still a limited mostly in the cities and towns. Mahatma Gandhi now felt that need to launch more broad-based movement in India. What is the difference between Gandhiji and other leaders? Gandhiji felt that if you want to attain freedom, it is not enough to create awareness or create movement within the cities and towns. He felt that we should create movement throughout the country, that means even to the countryside, all in the village area. That's why Gandhiji wanted to launch broad-based movement in India. But he was certain that no such movement could organize without bringing Hindus and Muslims closer together. So Gandhiji felt that there's a need to bring Hindus and Muslims together, because if Hindus and Muslims are divided on the religious line, that will definitely benefit the British, not the Indians. One way of doing that, he felt that to take up the Khilafat issue. Now please try to understand why Gandhiji supported Khilafat movement. Actually, Khilafat movement is nowhere directly linked with the Indian freedom movement. So Gandhiji felt that since Khilafat movement is associated to Muslims, so by supporting Khilafat movement, Gandhiji felt that it is one of the tool to bring Hindus and Muslims together. The First World War had ended with the defeat of Ottoman Turkey. Now please remember the history of Greece. I told you Ottoman Turkey was a Muslim kingdom. They defeated Greece and controlled Greece. But after the First World War, Ottoman Turkey was a part of supporting country of Germany, Since Germany was defeated, even the Ottoman Turkey was also defeated. So Ottoman Turkey was defeated. Germany was forced to sign the Treaty of Versailles. The same way, British decided to punish Ottoman Turkey, and there were rumors that harsh peace treaty was going to imposed on Ottoman Emperor. So the king of Ottoman Empire, British wanted to impose a harsh what peace treaty. The spiritual head of Islamic Khalifa is nothing but the religious guru, what we say in Hindus, Jagat Guru, like that. The religious head of Muslims is called as Khalifa. So to defend the Khalifa, so I repeat once again, to defend the Khalifa, Khilafat committee was formed. So defend the Khalifa, Khilafat committee was formed in Bombay in the year 1919. So Khilafat means a movement in favor of Khalifa. That's why it's called Khilafat. So who led the Khilafat movement in India? Famously known as Ali brothers. Ali brothers, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. So Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali, popularly known as Ali brothers. So Ali brothers led the movement in India. That is which movement? Khilafat movement. So began to discussing with Mahatma Gandhi about the possibility of united mass action on the issue of what? Issue of removing Khalifa of Turkey. Why Khalifa of Turkey removing from power? Because he supported Germany against Britain in the First World War. Gandhiji saw this as an opportunity to bring Muslims under one umbrella, United National Movement. Okay. So Gandhiji felt like supporting Khilafat movement because he felt that this is the best possibility to bring Hindus and Muslims together. At Calcutta session of Indian National Congress, remember the date, Calcutta session of Indian National Congress in the year 1920. At the Calcutta session of Indian National Congress in 1920, he convinced other leaders, Gandhiji convinced other leaders need to start non-cooperation movement in support of support to Khilafat as well as for Swaraj. So Gandhiji's non-cooperation movement targeted non-cooperation movement, very simple. Gandhiji said that British continued to rule in India because we cooperated with them. So if we stop cooperating with them, then definitely they will leave the country. That's why non-cooperation movement and Khilafat movement. So or as well as Swaraj. So quite lengthy paragraph, try to understand. So Khilafat movement, in brief I'll tell you, the Khilafat movement started by Ali brothers, Shaukat Ali and Muhammad Ali, in support of Khalifa of Ottoman Turk. Now let us move to the next major topic, that is non-cooperation movement. So I completed Jallianwala Bagh, now Khilafat movement. Now let us move to the non-cooperation movement. The famous book Hind Swaraj, please write down this. The famous book Hind Swaraj written by Mahatma Gandhi, declared the British rule in India with the cooperation of Indians. So Mahatma Gandhi felt that British ruled us just because we supported them and survived only because of our cooperation. So British survived because of our cooperation, not because of theirs, only because of their success. If Indians refused to cooperate, the British rule would collapse within a year and Swaraj would come. So please try to understand. Gandhiji felt that if Indians stopped cooperating with the British rule will collapse, come to an end, and we can rule by self, that is called Swaraj. We can rule by ourselves, that is called Swaraj. How could non-cooperation become a movement? Gandhiji proposed that the movement should be unfold in stages. It should begin with the surrender of titles. The first one, surrender of titles avoided by the British government. For example, Sir M. Visvesvaraya. Sir is a title honored by the British government. Like that, Mahatma Gandhi was given the title called Kaisar-e-Hind. So, Gandhiji felt that the beginning of non-cooperation is nothing but surrender of titles and boycott of civil services, army, police and the court and legislative council. Not attending the civil service examinations by the Indians, not supporting army, police, court, legislative council, means Indians are not joining all these things, boycotting schools, boycotting colleges, boycotting foreign goods, especially those days India, there was large dumping of cotton goods in India. As a result, so Gandhiji felt that boycotting of foreign goods, boycotting of schools, colleges, legislative assembly, court, police, army, all these definitely responsible for the success of the British. If we boycott all these things, definitely there is a possibility of British leaving our country. Then in the case of government used repression, the full civil disobedience movement campaign would be launched. In 1920, Mahatma Gandhi and Shaukat Ali toured extensively, mobilizing popular support to the movement. So, Mahatma Gandhi mobilizing support with the help of Shaukat Ali and planned to introduce the non-cooperation movement. Many within the Congress were, however, concerned about the proposals. They were reluctant to boycott the council election scheduled for November 20, and they feared that the movement might lead to popular violence. In the months of September and December, there were intense tussle within the Congress. For a while, there seemed no meeting point between supporters and opponents of the movement. Finally, the Congress session, please remember, Nagpur session of 1920. So, Nagpur session of 1920 comprised and worked out the non-cooperation program was adopted. So, which session of Indian National Congress adopted non-cooperation movement? That is Nagpur session of Indian National Congress. So, Nagpur section of Indian National Congress adopted the non-cooperation movement. What this paragraph says that there were little misunderstanding between the people within Indians, because few were not happy. There was intense tussle within the Congress because few were not happy that we should not boycott the council, we should not boycott the election. They said that we should not boycott the election, rather we should contest for election and fight within the assembly. That was the opinion of few Congress leaders. So finally, the Nagpur session of Indian National Congress in the year 1920 adopted the non-cooperation movement. What is called boycott? Boycott is nothing but a refusal to deal and associate with the people. Bahishkar, or participate in the activities, or buy and use things, usually a form of protest. For example, boycotting of Chinese crackers. That is what we are doing. That is called boycotting of Chinese crackers. What is boycotting of Chinese crackers during Diwali? That is nothing but we are refusing to purchase the Chinese crackers. So that is what protest or boycott. So please remember the words. How did movement unfold? Who participated in? How did different group conceive the idea of non-cooperation movement? So here you can see the boycotting of foreign clothes. Foreign clothes were seen as a symbol of Western economic and cultural domination, because foreign clothes were dumped in the Indian market, because foreign clothes were produced or manufacturing in the United States, in the England. So the British dumped the foreign clothes in India. So Indians refused or boycotted the foreign clothes. That is also one method of protest of non-cooperation movement. That is what I mean to say. So we studied about Khilafat movement, studied about Rowlatt Act, we completed about non-cooperation movement. All important topics: Rowlatt Act, non-cooperation movement, then Khilafat Satyagraha, and meaning of non-cooperation. All those things we completed. Now next topic what we have to complete is how non-cooperation is perceived by different people in different places. That is what we are going to study. How non-cooperation is perceived in different places. Differing the stance within the movement. Non-cooperation movement began in 1921. Various social groups participated in this movement, each within its own specific aspiration. All of them surrounded to call it as a Swaraj, but meant differently for the different people. The movement started with the middle class participant in the city. Thousands of students left government controlled schools and colleges. This is what non-cooperation in the towns. Schools and colleges were boycotted. Teachers resigned. Lawyers gave up their profession of going to the court and practicing legal law. Council elections were boycotted in provinces except in Madras, whereas Justice Party, the party of non-Brahmins, felt that entering council was the one way of gaining some power, something usually only Brahmins had access to. So non-cooperation movement in the towns was different. What was the non-cooperation movement in the town? In the towns, non-cooperation movement, government schools and colleges protested. They boycotted government schools and colleges. Teachers and headmasters resigned. Lawyers stopped doing legal practices. Elections were boycotted, but in some places, few parties felt that contesting election is a method of or a mode of getting some power, which was denied those days. The effect of non-cooperation on economic front were more dramatic. Foreign goods were boycotted, liquor shops were picketed, the foreign clothes were burnt in huge bonfire. The import of foreign clothes have between 1921-22 its value dropping to 57 crores from 102 crores. In many places, merchants and traders refused to trade in foreign goods and finance foreign trade. As the boycott movement spread, the people began to discarding imported clothes and wearing only Indian ones. Production of textiles mills and handlooms went up. So, boycotting of foreign goods or picketing of foreign goods was one of the major reason or major action taken by the Indians against the British in the form of non-cooperation movement. What was the non-cooperation in the countryside? Rebellion in the countryside. From the cities, the non-cooperation movement spread to the countryside. It drew into its fold struggle peasants and tribals, which were developing in the different parts of India after the World War. In Awadh, peasants led by Baba Ramachandra, please remember the name, the Sannyasi movement was started in Awadh. So Sannyasi movement was started in Awadh by Baba Ramachandra. Who was Baba Ramachandra? He worked as a labor, indentured labor. Indentured labor is nothing but bonded labor. He worked as indentured labor. The movement was against whom? Against talukdars and the landlords who demanded from peasants extraordinarily high rents and the variety of other cess or other tax. So the very important that Sannyasi movement led by Baba Ramachandra was mainly responsible for denial of taxes which was imposed by the Britishers. The peasants had to do begar work for landlord without payment. So begar is nothing but free labor. Begar is nothing but free labor or labor without payment. Every farmer was forced to do this. The tenants had no security of tenure, being regularly evicted from there. They could not have a right on leased land. The peasants movement demanded reduction of revenue, abolition of begar, and the social boycott of oppressive landlordism. In many places, they were organized panchayat which deprived the landlord and even the barbers and washmen. So, what you have to understand here, the non-cooperation movement was different in the towns and it was totally different in the village areas. Okay, I will continue in the next class. Please take care. Bye.